They are in trouble. We're in Toronto. Check, check, check. Bonjour. Can you hear me? So I just want to make an announcement. We're going to get ready to get started. I'm making an announcement. We're going to get ready to get started in a couple minutes. Just waiting on a few more things, waiting for a couple staff to make their way down. Yes, we're behind a few minutes, but we'll catch up quickly. I think last year we were behind a few minutes, and we caught right up, so no worries. So we have a great day ahead of us, though, so get some coffee, eat some more food, because I think they made food for a couple hundred, so you got to eat twice, okay? I can't because I had lots of food last night, and I still feel bloated and successfully made myself feel bigger. So, so we're going to start in a couple minutes, waiting on a couple things to come down, and then we'll begin with a prayer, smudge out the room, cleanse ourselves off for this morning, have some words of welcome from a couple individuals here from the college, and then we'll be moving into our panel discussion this morning, as well as breakout sessions. We have Dreamcatcher activity happening for children and youth who might want to participate in that while the panel discussion is happening. So lots of great things this morning. So again, in a couple moments we'll be beginning. So grab your coffee, or if they up north they always say copy. I don't know how they rather than saying Mukaday Mashkiki Wabu, black medicine water. But in some of those residents they just say copy. I got this one language app on my phone, and I clicked on it for coffee, and it says, copy, copy. I was like, that's not coffee in a language. Anyways, so a couple more moments, and then we'll begin. Aho.
Hi, good morning, everybody. What I want to do is just take a little bit of time to explain these little stickers that you have on your badges here. So later on in the day, we're going to be going into breakout sessions. And so what I want to draw your attention to is these lovely individuals right here. These are your group leaders. So we have facilitators that are going to be facilitating the sessions, but these are the individuals who are going to be leading you from session to session, making sure you know where to go. So Miranda here, she's the blue group. So if you're in the blue group, you'll be in Miranda's group. And so when it's time to go from session to session, you find Miranda. Miranda will be up here saying, blue group, come with me. So this will be Miranda. She's the blue group. Jada here, she's the green group. Leah is the red group, and James is the yellow group. And so if you're in either of these groups, these will be the individuals that will be leading you from session to session. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about our breakout sessions as we go, but I just wanted to put that out to you so that you know what these little stickers are on your name badges and that you'll be in those specific groups. And if you don't have a sticker, make sure, anybody in here don't have a sticker on their badge? Okay, so Laureline? Okay, so Laureline, can you give a sticker? Oh, you don't have a badge at all. Okay, so we'll get you a badge. Yeah, there's no badge. So we'll get you a badge. And anybody else who doesn't have a badge or a sticker? Okay, yeah. Okay, so if there's any other questions, you can come and talk to me. And yeah, so that's what I just want to put out there so that you know which groups you'll be in. So me go ahead.
All right. So there's a smudge making its way around the room. Our Shkabewas for this morning, our helper, Majijuan, is bringing around that smudge. Also, former Humber College student and friendly face at every Humber gathering. He still loves coming back to the college and helping out and participating. And especially at this event, IKG, Indigenous Knowledge Gathering here in 2019. Always a great event and a great time. And so we're very appreciative of having this opportunity. Big miigwech to the college for always ensuring that these opportunities are here for us to engage in our learning, for us to engage in our collective understanding and building of our understanding and our knowledges together. So this morning, we'll begin with a smudge. So if you feel as though you want a smudge, Gij is making his way around. And so we have a number of great speakers here this morning. We have a number of great activities that are going to be taking place. And And I want to say on behalf of myself, a big miigwech for always being invited to come out and MC. I don't ever consider myself to be a great MC because I'm not that funny. Yeah. I'm really not. I'm really not. No, I know that's funny, but like I'm not like that MC with like the great jokes, you know, and so I always feel like I'm pushing to try to get laughs. And then I look at Sage and Emma and they just like give me that look like you're not funny, so it just hurts my feelings, cuts me deeper. Well, we want to welcome that we have students with us from the Dennis Cromartie School from Thunder Bay, and I know that yes, give them a round of applause. I know that the college always appreciates having the students and youth come down and showing them that this is a great place to be, this is a great opportunity for them, and for all youth who are looking for a great college, who are looking for a great opportunity, that Humber College is that college. And I'm not just saying that because Jason's here and he's right up in the front row. No, I really look at Humber, and anyone that I talk to, they always, people in the communities. I was meeting with a good friend of mine, her brother, and I said, oh, I'm going to Humber College. I'm going to be emceeing a small one-day, I'll be emceeing the conference for this portion. And he said, they're doing great things over there. They're doing great things over there with their Indigenous engagement and education. I said, yeah. I said, they really are. He said, well, they're the forerunners. I said, yes, I think I truly believe they are. So that being said, so we want to welcome everyone here this morning. I think some people are still sleeping, up a little too late, gaming out, Fortnite. I got into the Fortnite craze. What's cool about it, though, is I get to talk to people on there, right? They shoot me, and then I get to talk to them. I don't just talk to random people. I mean, I'm talking to. I shouldn't. No, yeah. I could get stolen. I'd like to try to see them steal me, but no. But I talked to Sage and Emma, and Jeej, and then yeah, so it's fun. Anyways. So I'm going to welcome up as the smudge is completing its work in the initial medicine in the cleansing off this morning. And at this time, I'm going to welcome Ms. Shelley Charles, the Dean of Indigenous Education and Engagement, and really one of the cornerstones here of the college who've really made some of the leaps and bounds that we have seen at Humber can really be attributed, and much of it can be attributed to Shelley and her work with the college. And this gathering itself. So I really want to give a warm welcome and give a warm round of applause to Ms. Shelley Charles, and she'll give us our land acknowledgement and opening prayer.
Miigwech bindige. Minogajeb. I'm really happy to be here this morning. I know that we have some guests who may not be aware of the protocol that we follow when we do something really important. So I will explain this as I'm going along. So the first thing that we do when we start an important event is we're going to stand up our words in the language. Say a few words in the language and ask for some help for the work that we're doing here today. So we take this moment to reflect. Mishomasananik, Nokimasananik, Nanik, Mandao, Indigenous cause, Waskanoja and Dodem. Nisomede Gagage, Nishnabe, Quendao. Joni Angan Donjaba Minwa Neashi Onigaming. Gaje Manedo Ambe Majadan Gomagishigaku Nadamadis or Nadamashin. Minwa Kinawe Mashin Nake Gashin Jindayan. Minwani Niwin Wen Danamak Nodanan Waban Jawan and Nung. Ningabi nong minwaki wait nong moshkabe with some modabiage quandeming onadamadis onadamashin. Ajawin mission, Jawin missionong. So good morning. I want to welcome you here this morning. Mandalquay Indigenous Cause is my first name, and I'm Fish Clan, and I'm from Georgina Island. I'm from Georgina Island. I guess there's nobody else here from Georgina Island today. And I was raised in one of the most beautiful places in the world with my grandparents, also known as Nayashio Nigaming. And we know her as Cape Croker. Right. There's nobody here from Cape Croker. Anyways, oh, there is. Okay. Wow. Great. I want to welcome you all to the land that we know here as Adobegoke. This is the traditional territory of the Ojibwe and Anishinaabe people. And that word Adobegoke is from Mississauga Ojibwe dialect, which means the place of the alders. And it was in a time in our distant past that this whole region was full and flourishing with old growth trees and pines, and most specifically the alder tree. We've been taught that our language is written on the earth, and we know that is the evident truth, because today Humber College is built upon that land that we know as Adobegoke, and today, in present day, it's called Etobicoke. So I wanted to share that with you because as we do our work here and work with students, we're constantly reminding them about our relationship to our communities, our relationship that's part of this river we're beside. The river that we know affectionately as Gabeganong Zipi. And she's connected to the Lake Ontario system, and then moving up north to Lake Simcoe, where Ajoniong is, and also to the Lake Huron, and then from there to the Great Lakes communities. And we also know that the truth of that, because in this room today, and it just worked out the way things do, in the best way, how many of us are from Great Lakes communities in the room, Anishinaabe communities? Can we see a show of hands? All right, so you'll remember those words. You'll remember, it's very important for us to remember and acknowledge the land in where we're doing our work, because that helps us to ensure that we do everything in the best possible way, that we acknowledge our mother first and foremost in every day. So I wanted to share that with you, and also say that yesterday we heard some very powerful speakers. I had the opportunity to listen to Jeff Corntassel and Karen Recollet yesterday, and I was very inspired. And I always know that I'm very inspired when I dream about you. Not that way. Okay, Jeej, calm down. You were talking about what the people are doing out west in the Cherokee Nation, about saving the seeds and thinking about like the seeds are the future, and what it reminded me of and what I could hear in the work that's being done in your home region is that deep love. And also that within that deep love is our memory. And our memory as Indigenous people is really long. Our memory is in our blood, it's in our DNA, and it's connected to those 4 parts of the earth. And I heard that yesterday in the message that Jeff shared with us, and it really touched my heart. So I want to say Miigwech, for your words. And could I get a copy of your PowerPoint? And I do think that we will be doing work in the future because that's what we're doing at Humber College. We work with one of our relatives, Lynn Short, who is a steward of the Arboretum here. And she's been helping us along with probably about 400 First Nations youth from across Ontario, reintroducing Indigenous species into the Arboretum for all the reasons and similar reasons to the work that you're doing back home. So I see us working together with the University in Oklahoma and Humber College in the future. And also we had some beautiful poetry last night, really inspiring poetry from a young woman that really made me feel happy to be alive and witness the music and the poetry of words of young people. And I can feel really happy because you're the next generation. We have so many generations in the room, but our young people, they get it. They see what's going around, they're observing all around, and they're putting all this bundle together for what she called our futuristic bundles. And what are they going to look like? So I wanted to say Chimi Gwech to both of you for that because I had a really, really good, I didn't dream about you, but I slept really well. And that's the medicine in the words and the story and the music that you all shared with us yesterday. And also those new voices we heard. We heard some young people who've never presented in public before find their voice. This is medicine for all of us, for the work that we do, because we know that the work that we're doing is it's useful, it's relevant, and in it of itself is medicine. So I wanted to acknowledge somebody that found her voice. Is she in the room? Okay, well, we'll see her later. And so I wanted to share that with you. And also, it's my pleasure to introduce a friend and a colleague who I've worked with for several years now. And a little story about him, especially because his wife and his family is here as witnesses. When I first met Jason, when Jason first came to Humber here, he was somebody that I had to work with, and I was checking him out. It's like, okay, so I have a new colleague here. So I was going to Chimong. I was going to Curve Lake, and I had asked him, geez, I'm going into the community. Have you ever been into a First Nations community before? And he said to me, well, no, not really. I said, oh, okay. So are you busy tomorrow? And he said, oh, yeah, I am. I said, oh, okay. All right. See you later. And then I guess by the end of the day, I get this call from Jason saying, sure, I'll come with you. What time do you want to leave? Well, let's leave at 7. So that's how I remember the story, Jason. And we proceeded to do something that I very rarely do, is I got lost about 3 times trying to get to Curve Lake. Going around and around. But in that time, and the rest of the time that we spent together that day, it became very clear to me that Jason was one of those individuals, one of those lights that is who many of us refer to as allies, but he really is a true relative and kindred spirit. So it's my pleasure to be working with you all these years, and you tolerating me as well. And so I'd like to introduce you to the new Vice President of Students and Institutional Planning, Jason Hunter.
Thank you very much, Shelley, and thanks, Bindigay. Great to have you back on campus as well, and I know that you'll keep us on track today. And I'm not sure what the standard is for funny, but you're way funnier than me, so it's good that you're going to be on the mic more than I am. But it is a pleasure to welcome all of you here today to day 3 now of the Indigenous Knowledge Gathering, which has grown over the years, I think, both in terms of size, but also in terms of significance of the work that's taking place here. I appreciate that you've all decided to take on the weather that we are expecting this weekend in order to be here. Although we tend to get a little excited in Toronto when there's any suggestion that there might be snow, so I think we're all going to be okay. But good, good to have you here. As Shelley mentioned, I'm also fortunate to have my wife Sarah and my 3 little girls, Emily, Louisa, and Allison, today to take part in this exceptional learning opportunity. Although I think shortly they'll probably sneak out and go do some of the dream catchers and beating with Lynn. But it's really nice to have them there, and it's a really great learning opportunity for my family to be a part of something like this. I want to say that an event like this is a lot to pull together. So at the same time that I'm welcoming all of you, I'd also like to just take the chance to thank the staff at the Aboriginal Resource Centre who have been working tirelessly to bring this important gathering together. So if I could just have a quick little round of applause for the Aboriginal Resource Centre folks. And of course, I'd also like to take this opportunity particularly to acknowledge Elder Shelley Charles, the Dean of Indigenous Education and Engagement, both for providing the vision for what we could be as a college, and also patiently but very persistently moving us in that direction. So Shelley, thank you very much. You're a valued friend and a colleague who I've learned much from over the past 10 years, and none of us would be here today without the work that Shelley's doing. So so thank you, Shelley, and it's always great to see Shelley in an event like this because Shelley's at her best at an event like this. So so great to see you. Thank you very much, Shelley. Some of you I know have been with us since Thursday to hear from Onabonese, Elder James Dumont, who has been such a force in Indigenous education for decades, and who has done so much to help us develop our foundation here at Humber. Jim, it's always an honor and a pleasure to have you here with us, and we're glad to have you here with us here again this morning. Thursday also included a fantastic youth panel. Many of you were in the room who were on that panel. That was facilitated by Serene Fox, who's also here with us. Serene, great to see you again. And that was really with a focus on reclamation of culture and experience of Indigenous youth. So we had students, we had former students, we had some current celebrities who are in the room with us today as well. So it was great to hear all of their words. And as I'm reminded so many times, all of the work that's taking place here is grounded in the past, but it's really with the intent of creating a better future for young people. And with that in mind, as Bindagay already mentioned, it's great to see so many young people here, including students from Dennis Cromarty High School in Thunder Bay. So once again, fantastic that you're here. Welcome. I appreciate that you and others have traveled so far to share your experience, to learn with us, and also to help us learn. So thank you. Last night, in addition to the great gala dinner that we had, we were also treated to a powerful address, as Shelley mentioned, by Jeff Corntassel. He was here with us this morning from Victoria University. He's also on our panel, so Jeff, thank you so much for that last night. Karen Recollet, also from the University of Toronto, said some powerful things and some powerful words. And through both of their talks, I hope they didn't think I was texting because I was taking notes on my phone because there were so many things I found that were so inspiring about what you said. So I have to say that this is a week that's otherwise really been filled with a lot of administrative blasé for me. That's often what some of my job is all about. But last night it was really a treat to be included in such a rich, challenging, and provocative cultural and intellectual community. So I thank you for that. It's really enriching for me to be a part of that, given some of the day-to-day work I do. And I think today will be no different. I know in addition to Jeff, we're fortunate to have a great panel of thought leaders and change agents with us this morning. So in addition to all of you who are in the room, I also want to welcome valued colleagues, Carolyn Hepburn from Sioux College. Carolyn, great to have you here. And Ron Degonatis McClester from Algonquin College, who along with Shelley are leading important work that's really transforming Indigenous education in the college sector. So we're really proud and privileged to have you here with us this morning. Thank you. In addition, we have Paula Sherman from Trent University. Paula, I think, where's Paula? Hi, Paula. Great to see you again. Got to sit with you at dinner last night. Who, of course, is Gina's mom, and part of and part of 3 generations of talent and intellect that's being shared with us this week. So it's great to have all of you here. We consider all of you a part of our extended community and our extended family here at Humber. So thank you. I'm sure that everyone on that panel is going to set the stage for today and lay the groundwork for a great discussion that you're going to engage in. Something really good is happening here, something big, something really important, and your voices are all contributing to that. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for joining us and have a great day. Miigwech.
All right, miigwech, Jason. Great words and a great recap, I think, of the past several days. I wasn't able to join with you, so it's nice to hear what was happening and some of the words that were shared. And so miigwech to Shelley for her words of opening, to open us in a good way, to ask the Creator, the good and kind Spirit, to be with us, pay attention, ensure that our voices are clear and the message that we share with each other is clear and concise. So miigwech for that. So we are going to a couple housekeeping items before we move into our panel. So the Dreamcatcher workshop is going to be happening in the atrium area out here. So adults, go ahead. No, just joking. Just kidding. No, you stay here. But if there's youth or children, well, I think that's predominantly who are children. Children, not youth. Never mind. Kiki, stay here. But youth that are children, you're welcome to go out and to take part in Dreamcatchers. But a couple housekeeping notes. So when you registered this morning, and if you didn't have a name tag when you came in, it might mean that you didn't register. But as long as you registered, you are entered into a draw for an iPad, one of 2 iPads, okay? One of 2 iPads. And in order to get a second ballot for that iPad, you have to complete your evaluation. But you can't complete your evaluation until the end of the day. So you can't do it now, score everything a 5, and then hand it in. No, you got to wait till the end of the day. At 5:30 will be the draws. At the closing of the day will be the draws for the iPad, for the, I heard there's some gift cards, $50 gift cards. So a lot of great prizes there. Right? I don't know if that's a word, a lot of. But I'm going to use that one. A lot of. So there's a lot of great prizes there. A lot of. That must be a res word, a lot of. Yeah. So it's kind of hot in this room too, isn't it? I'm kind of warm. I'm feeling kind of warm this morning. I see people fanning themselves, so maybe we should get the air turned down a bit, just in case we got a dry speaker this morning and we get tired. Oh, just kidding. That was a joke. We have great speakers this morning. But kind of a joke was I heard the name Corn Tassel, and sorry, Jeff, but I'm thinking 1491s, right? But then I realized who it was. I was like, oh, no, okay, it's Jeff Corntassel, the academic. I was like, okay, no, welcome. So those are the housekeeping items. So Dreamcatcher workshop, we have a few children, I think, who are waiting for the Dreamcatcher workshop to begin. So that's beginning in the atrium now. Dreamcatcher.
Oh, yes, that's right now.
Okay, so Kwe, so follow Kwe to the Dreamcatcher workshop.
Children and youth, that's the workshop for you.
Children. The panelists can do it after. Yeah, panelists can do it after. So as our children begin to make their way over to the Dreamcatcher workshop, I want to take a moment to introduce our panelists for this morning. And I know that the college and that this gathering is very honored to have the distinguished guests that we have with us. And so, like most of us, we all love to hear our bios read, so I'm going to do that because it's so fun. So first up, we have Ron Deganadis McLester. Am I saying that correctly, though? I took Oneida. I actually won the Oneida Award, so I should be able to say this. And I'm Ojibwe, and I won the Oneida Award. So Ron brings a rich knowledge from personal lived experiences as well as his professional proficiencies. Ron joined Algonquin in August 2016 as Executive Director and Special Advisor to the President on Indigenous Initiatives. He spent the early days of his career as an Indigenous student counselor at McMaster University and as a cultural coordinator at the University of Guelph. Following these roles, Ron was manager and special advisor to the Vice President of Student Services at Mohawk College from 2009 to 2011, where he oversaw program creation and the development of support services for Indigenous learners. Ron worked previously as Director and Special Advisor on Indigenous Initiatives at Mohawk College, a position which he has held since 2011. In his latest mandate, he was responsible for overseeing the mutually beneficial partnership between Mohawk College and Sheridan College, Six Nations Polytechnic, and the University of Guelph for the purposes of bettering services to Indigenous learners. Impressively, he was responsible for the creation of the Bundled Arrows Initiative, a regional collaboration between Indigenous communities and the first Indigenous education initiative of this scale. He has also led the creation of significant spaces dedicated to honor and serve Indigenous learners. During his time at Mohawk, Ron was able to secure significant funding and increase the profile of Indigenous initiatives locally, regionally, and provincially. Part of his recognition included recently being recognized as one of Hamilton's top 40 under 40. So please welcome Ron Deganadis McLesser. I should be able to say that, no problem. So please join us at the table. Give him a warm welcome. Next up, we have Paula Sherman, otherwise known as Gina's mom. It was already said by Jason, so I get to say it now. So she joins us as the director of the PhD program from Chen University and is also an associate professor in Indigenous Studies. So please welcome Paula Sherman to the table. Next up, from the 1491s, we have just kidding. Dr. Jeff Corntassel. I believe he's already been introduced, but I'll read through a little bit his bio here. Dr. Jeff Corntassel is a writer, teacher, and father from the, oh geez. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Cherokee Nation. He is currently Associate Professor in Indigenous Studies Department at the University of Victoria and Acting Director of the Center for Indigenous Research and Community-Led Engagement, CIRCLE. In 2016-17, Jeff was awarded a Sequoia Fellowship at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, for his work on Indigenous self-determination and sustainability. His research and teaching interests focus on everyday acts of resurgence and the intersection between sustainable self-determination, Indigenous resurgence, climate change, and community well-being. He situates his work at the grassroots of many Indigenous-led community-based programs and initiatives ranging from local food movement initiatives, land-based renewal projects, understanding Indigenous fatherhood, to gendered colonial violence and protection of homelands. His recently published book is an entitled edited volume in collaboration with Ganaga Mali professors at the University of Hawaii, Manoa, with a collection of works from 22 Indigenous and non-Indigenous contributors, and is entitled Everyday Acts of Resurgence, People, Places, Practices. He is currently completing work for his forthcoming book on sustainability, climate action, and gender-based resurgence. So please welcome Dr. Jeff Corntassel. And our fourth panelist for this morning is Miss Carolyn Hepburn, a member of Fort Albany First Nation. Carolyn first joined Sioux College and located in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario in 1999. Having worked in a number of departments throughout the institution, Carolyn became the Director of Native Education in 2005, taking on the LBS portfolio in 2010, and in January 2017 was appointed to the position of the Dean of Indigenous Studies and Academic Upgrading. A passionate advocate for Indigenous and adult education, Carolyn hopes to continue to foster and strengthen the interconnections and collaborations between Indigenous and non-Indigenous educators, communities, and partners that are needed to ensure the ongoing success of all learners enrolled in post-secondary education in Ontario. So please welcome Ms. Carolyn Hepburn. Oh. And we have an addition. No. They didn't have us. But we also have Ms. Shelley Charles to join us on the panel. And we've already introduced, but the Dean of Indigenous Education and Engagement. So please welcome Ms. Shelley Charles to the panel. So we have a number of questions that we've prepared and that we're going to ask the panelists to give feedback on and discussion. And I believe throughout the discussion, and we'll have an opportunity for questions or comments from the audience. And so we've done the introductions, and so we're going to move into question one, and we'll just maybe move down the line, and we'll ask the panelists to share, and maybe we'll start with Shelley and just make our way down. So question one is, what do Indigenous students need to succeed and be well? And so we'll take it over to Shelley to maybe give us a couple minutes.
So the question is, what do Indigenous students need to be successful and well? I think that for me, one of the most important things for Native students, Indigenous students, is providing them with a safe place to come to, is providing them with an environment, like a home-like environment, where they can come to and connect with family members, connect with familial faces, connect with people that look like them, sound like them. And if we can also help them in with this whole philosophy of identity. And when we talk about philosophy of identity, I think about the Midewin teachings. And one of the very first things that happens in our walk, in our life road, is that we are gifted with a name. And if we can help young people and students to be proud of their name, find their name, we're helping them with identity. We also encourage them to know their clans and where they're from. And we know today that many young people come to school without a name. Many young people come to school from even northern communities, and they don't know their clans. And some young people, they won't know even how to say their name in their own languages. So I think if we can provide that little bit for them, and then anything else that they need, but from an Indigenous perspective, if we can give them just a little bit of that, then we're really helping them to stand tall and to continue walking on the road.
Excellent. Miigwech Shelley. Carolyn, so again, what do Indigenous students need to succeed and be well?
This was a really interesting question for me because it's been a few years since I've been actually a student myself, and trying to recall those experiences and the realities of going to post-secondary. And if there's one thing I can convey, it's believe in yourselves. Believe that you have the abilities to do this work and to undertake this. Many times I have students who will come to me who will say, you know, I can't do this. It's going to be too hard. I'm not smart enough. Absolutely not. You can be anything that you set your mind out to be. You want to be a race car driver? Well, then you better learn how to drive standard. You want to be a rocket scientist? Then you need to go to school to get those skills to do that. Have confidence. Have confidence in the abilities and strengths that you possess and bring to the table. I think that's really, really important. We have people in the college system and the university system and post-secondary education who believe in you. We need you to believe in yourselves, that you can reach those goals that you've set out and aspire to. I think it's really important as well to understand that it's okay to fail. Not everybody's going to be that straight A plus A scholar. It may take you 3 years to finish a 2-year program. That's okay, you're doing it. You're doing it on your own time and in your own way. For myself, I remember going to post-secondary. When I first entered college, I probably took about 4 different programs till I finally found a niche in a program area that I felt resonated with me. So if you're not successful the first time, that's okay. Pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and take a look. What contributed? What do I need to do to be successful and to meet my goals? I think as well there needs to be a recognition that post-secondary education, it's tough work. Graduating from high school, that's tough work. And you need to put the time and the energy to do that. You have the skill, you have the ability, you have the strength to do this. But if you're not putting the work into it, then you're going to run into challenges. But what's great about this is that we have supports in place for you. Access them. I know it can be a little challenging, it may be a little intimidating at times, but connect with those support services. These are the folks that are going to help navigate the system for you. They're the ones who are going to get connected with resources that you may need. These are the people that are going to take the time to sit and listen, even if it's for a 5-minute chat. If you need to vent, don't take this on by yourself because it can be extremely overwhelming. But have the confidence that, of course, absolutely, you can do this 110%.
Excellent. Jeff?
Hello. I'm the other 1491, otherwise known as No Hassle Corn Tassel. So I think the first part of this question is I always think of, well, we talk to the students themselves to see what's going to be successful, right? What is needed on their part. And then I always come back to Cherokee teaching that the late Benny Smith taught me, adapte esto ti, that which we use to help ourselves. So we're endowed with these gifts of intelligence, wisdom, loyalty, and compassion. And so some of these gifts can be overutilized, namely intelligence, right? We can over-intellectualize things. And so I think for success is finding that balance and teaching and enabling students to find that balance. And also enabling students to find their way back home, whatever that looks like. So any program, whether it's Indigenous Studies or, political science, it should help enable those Indigenous students to find their way back home in some form or fashion. And yeah, I think, there's no, I liked what, what the other two panelists said, like Shelley said, finding a safe space. There's no substitute for that. There's no substitute for having that place where students feel at home, a home away from home. And that's one thing that we did in the West, but a lot of folks have done this, where you have a First Peoples House or you have a place of learning that's devoted to Indigenous students, where they can go and relax away from the, if we want to call it the academic industrial complex, whatever we want to call it, they can relax in these sometimes oppressive environments, right? And they can be themselves, they can speak their language, they can talk freely and openly about what they're experiencing. So, these are all valuable things. The other side to that safe space is there's no substitute for hiring Indigenous faculty, especially for Indigenous faculty related to, especially locally, but also relating to being able to relate to those students in order to provide that mentorship, to provide that leadership, if you will, to those students. There's no substitute for that, as well as staff, as well as elders. We have to treat elders, and I am pointing at us at University of Victoria, we treat elders as kind of an extension of service, and we're not treating elders the way they should be treated, I think, at the university context as teachers, as faculty members. So having elders in that and knowledge holders in that same room and in a meaningful way. So those are just some things that, ultimately it's about having a flexible set of programs that allow for students to tailor their own needs to those programs and get the most that they can from that experience.
You guys, Jeff. Paula?
Yeah, that's what I think too, just building on really what everyone else is saying, that when I often think about my own learning journey. I didn't get a high school diploma. I had all of my kids and then decided to go back to school kind of when I was an adult, so I did a GED, and I hated math, so I had to take And I did my undergrad in the States, and you have to do liberal arts, so I had to take science and math classes, which I hated, and I couldn't figure out what math is for, but I've been talking to someone who's a math teacher over here, so she's helping me to understand that now. But I don't know, so then it took me 5 years till I get a 2-year degree, just trying to kind of catch up, and everything, and then and then when I did my undergrad and I did my master's at the University of Connecticut in history, and one of the things I remember when I was there was only one other person who was Native in the history program, Edmund. He was my cousin from Kitagan-Zibi, and we were the only 2 Native people in the whole history program. There were other Native people actually there, that Jeff knows, Cedric and Meredith. They were at UConn at the same time, and it's really interesting though. When in the master's program there, you have to do an oral exam, and I remember doing the oral exam, and the man who was giving the exam to me, there were 3 people, and one of the men who was giving the exam to me, he was like a historian of like publishing, like he knew all of the stuff about when the publishing press was like invented and all of that kind of stuff, and he said to me that he couldn't understand why I got upset about having to look at documents about the Pequots. He couldn't understand why it upset me, and I said, well, my kids are related to them. Like my ex-husband's in Narragansett, like they're like related to those people, and he said, well, I had ancestors who fought in the Civil War, I don't know what the big deal is. And I'm like, well, those are our ancestors, like we're connected to them. My kids are connected to those people, like, so it's hard to like deal with that, right? And so anyway, when I left there, I thought that the problem was that we needed a few historians because the historians who were teaching were really bad, and we needed just a few. But then I went to Trent and did my PhD. And the thing I learned at Trent and really being kind of immersed in, particularly in Anishinaabe culture with Edna Manitowoc and Shirley Williams and Doug Williams, also connecting with William Commanda as well as an Algonquin person, the thing that I really came to understand was that the entire history that's constructed is false. Like we can't fix it just by having a few historians. We need a lot of Native historians, and I think that goes back to what Jeff is saying, that I think the best thing that we can do for Indigenous students is to hire Indigenous faculty, like in all programs, not just Indigenous studies, right? It has to be, I think, in all programs, and for faculty to be accessible to students, to not keep your door closed, like to leave your door open so students always know that they can come by and talk to you. And I often share my story with them, when they're feeling frustrated that they can't make it. I share my story with them, and I'm like, I did this. Like, I struggled. Like, I had 5 kids. I worked 40 to 60 hours a week to actually make it through even an undergrad degree. Like, you can do this too. We can do this. Let's work together. Let's kind of figure out where to go from here and kind of planning it out, right? And so, so I guess that's I guess what I could offer right now. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Deganades.
So what was the question? No, I'm just kidding. Segu agwegu deganadasa niengats deganadasa. Good greetings. I was just checking your certificate of Oneida language there. No? Good morning. My traditional name is Deganadasa. My English name is Ron. And so just quick 3 things. I agree Shelley is at her best at these kind of events. I've been working with her for a while, and it's really nice to see her. The other thing was 10 years together. Holy heck. Wow, good for you. So I know that we only have 3 minutes each. I'm just timing myself not to go over because it's a really substantial question. I'll premise by saying I get really nervous about answering these questions, not because of public speaking. I quite enjoy public speaking, but because my ideas are very different, and I don't want to make anybody feel like I'm disrespecting anything said with what I'm about to share. So I think first, for Indigenous students to be successful, we really need to look at traditional knowledge. What does success even mean in this context, in this construct? So for instance, I'm not a big fan of building reserves on campus. In other words, the student support centers that exist in the way they largely exist today, I'm not really a big fan of. I've been working in the field for about 17 years, and I understand why they're here. I understand when they were built, and they were built at a time in really great work that was happened because it was a much scarier place. It was a much more oppressive place. I'm not suggesting that doesn't still happen. What I am suggesting, though, is do we need to protect as as much as we do today as we did even 10 years ago? I don't know. I would suggest, at least in my head, maybe not. I know that people who came before me needed to fight within the institution. Right now, I think a lot of our jobs are making friends. Where I work, I'm not fighting with the administration. I mean, I'm part of the administration, but it's about onboarding. It's about including. It's about sharing, not fighting with them. I understand why people had to fight. I'm thankful they did. All I'm saying is perhaps the climate has changed a little bit, partly to do with TRC. The other thing is, when we create these reserves on campus, they're often in a hole in the wall, far away, broke down computers, chairs that barely work. That's not really a great message for students and people who see those centers, and I wonder what kind of message that sends for student confidence and success. I understand why we do them. I'm only saying, do we need to keep repeating that without putting more strategy into that? The other piece is what's happening on communities before students come to school. The reality is I've worked at 7, 8 different institutions, 2 universities, the rest at colleges. And if we had the best counselors, the best advisors, the best researchers, writers, workshops, a lot of our students are coming without the skills to be successful in post-secondary. And so if we're putting them all together in one area to be safe, how are they able to grow and develop when that reality doesn't exist out of school anyway? So how are we setting folks up to be successful after that? That's not really a part of a reality. So that's what I mean. We have to, I know I only have 30 seconds left. It's a big topic though. So, and then success, like even if that model were to work and we were to attract, retain, graduate these students, what are they gonna do afterwards? If they have these great careers that everybody's shooting for and they succeed, are they gonna go home where those jobs don't even exist, potentially? So my question is, how are institutions working with how are institutions or post-secondary organizations working with, say, territories, on reserve, off reserve, economic development office, workforce planning, human resource planning, so that there's actual careers and revenue generation and forward planning and sustainability, all these things that need to be weaved into those processes before we even start looking at Indigenous identity. And I know I'm 20 seconds over, but I think this question, at least in my mind, is probably a graduate course. And I know that was kind of blah, but very passionate about this. So,
Y'all go.
Yo.
Deganadesa.
Yo yandadi.
I actually had to rewrite it. So I got it. Deganadesa. So those are a lot of great comments and feedback, and I think we'll reflect as we have more time, and I want to make sure that we have time for questions from the audience, because I know there's a lot of great feedback here with regards to student success. What does it mean? And I think Deganadesa, that first question that you proposed is, well, what does success mean to us as Indigenous peoples? And I think first we need to answer that question. What does it mean, right? What does success mean? What does success mean in our communities? What does success mean as individuals? What does it mean to be a successful Anishinaabe? What does it mean to be a successful Haudenosaunee person, right? A successful Cherokee person. What does that mean? And so we ask ourselves that question first, then we can begin to delve into, well, what does that mean then in an institution? And so, but there was a lot of great reflection there because we're talking about identity, we're talking about safe spaces, and so that was great. So we want to move into question 2 to ensure that we have time for our panelists and also for question and answer from our community members. So question 2 is, how can education serve the needs of Indigenous families and communities? And I think we began to touch upon that actually a bit, but move it over to Shelley first. We'll try for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Try for 2 minutes.
Try. All right. So I just want to respond to something that Deganadis had said about the safe space. And this is a safe place, so I know that that's okay. And just also, I was just informed this morning that I would be on the panel, so I'm trying to get into the space here. I've heard you say that a couple of times before about the opinion of do we need more of these places that are for more of these Aboriginal resource centers. And I've given that a lot of thought, and I look at it this way. I respect what you're saying and knowing you and your intelligence, where it's coming from. However, in my opinion, we are in a time of reconciliation, and And the reconciliation part of that is not Anishinaabe people doing the work of trying to explain what reconciliation is to other people. But my understanding of what that means is it's our time to ensure that we continue and we recreate places for our people to be inspired and to continue to provide those places where they can find their voice. Because that's our reconciliation. How do we engage our people, our young people, in post-secondary education? And I want to say that you will find no broken computers. We have really fast, high-tech computers in our center. And they're open, our centers are open to all students, and we even have a public lounge that sees 30,000 students a year. So, okay, now I'll get to the topic. So, I believe, sorry, I'll make it quick.
Yeah.
Okay,
30
so,
seconds.
so I think that how education can keep the family strong, one of those ways is by connecting our students and our young people can connect our families to extended families. They meet other families during the course of their studies, cousins, clan relatives, and that network, that knowledge, and that access to love and kindness can help the family be strong. And also at a time when we continue to come through such trauma, intergenerational trauma, I see post-secondary education as a healing of the mind, the body, the spirit, and the heart.
All right, Miigwech. Carolyn.
Miigwech, Shelley. This was a tough one for me, and part of me was thinking, what have you done for me lately? In terms of serving the needs of our families and communities. And, you know, one of the biggest things I think we can do is to inspire and support the visions of our people when it comes to education. We know that we haven't had an extremely positive experience when it comes to education. And part of the work that we need to do is to respect and engage the voice of our communities and our students. And one of the things that frustrates me at times, I'll be honest, is, you know, we hear a lot about building capacity within our communities. Well, the reality is that we haven't lost our capacity. We just need to restore it. We've always had the capacity to do whatever we wanted to do. It's bringing that back to the forefront right now. So in terms of education, from the obvious, in terms of contributing to economic development and becoming, you know, contributing viable members of our communities and society, and this kind of blends in with question number 3. As institutions, we have a lot of work to do. We need to ensure we're engaging our communities and hearing the voice and respecting the voice of our people and our students in particular. We are a very diverse people, whether you're remote, rural, urban, if you come from the East Coast, West Coast, North or South, are you traditional, non-traditional? So when you look at the diversity, the work that we undertake, it's hard work, it's not easy, especially when you have to educate folks along the way on top of the day-to-day challenges of your job. So how can education serve the needs of Indigenous families and communities? Listen to what we have to say. Don't ask us to the table and ask for our advice and recommendations only to turn around and not implement those or take them into account in decision making. One of the most frustrating things is being asked to the table for that and to at times have that ignored or dismissed. It's a waste of everybody's time, to be quite honest. Recognize the expertise that our communities and voice are bringing to the table. We know what we're talking about. So if it doesn't fit the way you do within your institution, if you don't, it's going to cost too much money, etc., that can be extremely frustrating. So we need to have the flexibility as educators and institutions if we're really going to serve the needs of our communities.
Excellent. Miigwech. Jeff?
Just to pick up on that, I mean, yeah, the late, I don't know why I'm channeling the late Vine Deloria Jr., but he had a book title called We Talk, You Listen, right? And that's the spirit, I think, that we can bring is to actually engage meaningfully with communities, with families, so that we understand the supports, but also the longer-term needs of those communities. Vine, near the end of his life, reflected on education, and he was pretty frustrated. So he asked a question in an op-ed. He said, are we building nations or are we dissolving communities in educational contexts? And that question is still pretty provocative. What are we doing, right? If we're not thinking of nationhood in its fullest sense, those interrelationships between land, language, ceremonial life, our sacred living histories, all of those things, those clan systems, those governance systems, then what are we doing? You know, we're compartmentalizing. So finding ways through those sometimes, I guess, compartmentalized mentalities in education is part of the battle, as I see it. Yeah, and I think for me, a key part of, I was floundering in graduate school. I was away from home, and it was having other Cherokees and other Indigenous folks there who brought me into ceremony. We would gather and just talk about the university system and how we navigate it. So finding ways through it with other people, right? Finding new alliances, and then really to localize it, right? We need to localize our understanding, just like we've done here at Humber College, right? With the going beyond the territorial acknowledgement and localizing it to the communities in terms of their needs here, and understanding that, that acknowledgement only goes so far. We need to understand, for example, in Victoria, we're on Lekwungen territory, we're on Songhees and Esquimalt territory. What are the implications of the university being on that land in terms of food sovereignty, in terms of the politics of that place? And so having a longer term vision in terms of how the local communities are benefiting, from that engagement and from those educational initiatives. So making it relevant.
Miigwech, Jeff. Paula?
So maybe I could just share a story of a PhD student who was a Mohawk student, and she was doing her proposal defense, and her mother was there, and a few members from her community were there, and all of the academics were asking her questions, and her mom asked a question, and she said, because her dissertation was going to be on Mohawk language, and how can we get more Mohawk speakers? And her mother said, what I want to know is, how is your dissertation going to help us to think in Mohawk? Because there are a lot of people who speak Mohawk, but they think in English. And so I've been thinking about that a lot in the sense of, Anishinaabe Moan, and how can we get to the point of thinking in our own language as well. And this connects maybe to a story about my granddaughter, Jada. We were working together on a digital story, and we sang this song together, and it was a project to kind of bring together like older people and youth, and so we were making this digital story together at Trent. And she said to me, when I'm dancing, am I dancing in the footsteps of my ancestors, my female ancestors? When I'm praying, do they hear me? So she wanted to kind of, sorry, I'm gonna cry because she's sitting there, so that helped me to really think about, the kind of work that I'm doing, kind of even as a historian, as a faculty member, and what is my responsibility to her and to other Algonquin youth, to other Algonquin girls particularly, to understand who their female ancestors were, because we don't know a lot about our ancestors as Anishinaabe women, as any women particularly, because they didn't care about women at all historically. So she's really challenged me to kind of to find those answers and to help her to understand, who were my ancestors, my female ancestors. Do they recognize me when I speak my name, when I'm in the Ketchazibi, the Ottawa Valley? Do they hear me? Do they know that I'm there? Like, how can I connect to them? And I think that that's a lot of questions that a lot of students are asking, like, how do I connect? How do I belong? Because I don't have that. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. And I think this goes back to what Shelley was saying about the importance of having Aboriginal student centers, that a lot of students come to university or college and they don't have that connection. And having that connection, having people like Jim that they can connect to, you know, in these institutions is really important for students. Like, I remember when I was taking my PhD comp exams, I took it in Shirley Williams' office. I sat in her office and I felt this warmth envelop me. I had no fears of doing it because I was in her office and I had always interacted with her, and she made me feel safe there. And I think that that's fundamentally important, and I don't think that we can underestimate the importance that these centers provide. Like here, Trent, like all of these centers. Now, one thing I would say, however, and I know I'm probably going over my time too, is that I feel at Trent, but I feel probably at other places, that graduate students get overlooked in the programs and the services that get created in some of these centers. Like, they need extra writing supports, they need Indigenous knowledge at a graduate level in that kind of sense. So they're often talking about how they feel that those services don't meet their needs, even at Trent, right? So I think that's important. And sometimes the institutions don't understand the importance of graduate students to their academic mission, because graduate students serve as TAs, they sometimes teach courses, but they're often seen as cheap ways to offer courses because they don't have to pay them the same amount of money that they pay a QP1 instructor. So they oftentimes get overlooked. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you, Miigwech.
Oh, miigwech, Paula. They're dasa.
So I'm going to try to answer the question as well as have a response to Dean Charles. Definitely not trying to take any kind of debate stance, but I want to be clear. First, this is not an Algonquin College commercial. However, what I did not mean to express was to get rid of those centers. In fact, we have a Mammadosuin. It's not going anywhere. But what I'm talking about is putting additional strategic thinking into what they're doing and why we have them. So for instance, at Algonquin, the Mammadosuin services about 300 Indigenous students a year, and some of those are repeat visits. We have a population of 2,400 Indigenous student learners who are self-ID'd, which means there's probably about 4,000. So if we're seeing at best 400 or 4,000 people, there's an issue with that. We just spent $5.4 million on additional Indigenous student space at the college. $5.4 million, 5 new spaces. I liken it to this. If you've ever gone to Mexico for vacation or whatever, let's say you just woke up somewhere down there. Would you know you were in Mexico by the smells? Probably. Would you know you were in Mexico by the architecture? Probably. Would you know you were in Mexico by the food? Probably. Would you know you were in Mexico by the sounds? Probably. Now you take anywhere on Turtle Island and ask that same question, and would you know you were in Haudenosaunee territory or Anishinaabe territory? Most of the time the answer is no. So what I'm saying is that in addition to these student support centers, who, by the way, in history usually have to do recruitment, advising, counseling, marketing, everything with a shoestring budget, what I'm saying is the specialized student support services are important, but the institution has a responsibility to raise and embed Indigenous knowledge throughout the organization. So in addition to the $5.4 million we spent on these spaces, we're embedding Indigenous knowledge into space utilization, budget and planning, commercials, architecture, food sovereignty, like literally throughout the organization. So I just want to be clear. I'm not suggesting these centers aren't important. I'm not saying get rid of them. I'm saying what's the next level of thinking in order to be better and more responsive to these student needs, and have a better relationships with communities. These communities are investing a lot of money and resources into students to come to our institutions, and a lot of the time, half of them aren't successful. And the ones who are successful, maybe 4 of them are nurses or want to be nurses from a small community and go home, and there certainly isn't 4 nursing jobs there. So how are we being strategic? Again, back to the question, what does success mean? And so that's all I was trying to get across.
And that's a great point. And I think, and I just want to touch upon that because I think there were some great comments there made. And I think it is very important, right, to have these spaces, to have the safe spaces, to have places where Indigenous students can see themselves and feel comfortable. But yes, there's a large portion that we do not reach at times in these Aboriginal resource centers, these Indigenous centers. So how do we reach those students? And I think that's a great point, is that we have to see ourselves throughout the institution, right? We have to see ourselves within the curriculum. We have to see ourselves in the marketing and walking down the hallways, and we see our people, right? We see an indication that this is our territory, right? And I think, and I know that Humber does a great job with it. You know, probably there's always room for improvement, but I know that other colleges sound to be doing, you know, similar things in other institutions. So great points, and I think we have to think about how is it that we're hearing the community and the voice of the people. What is it that the communities need? What is it the communities need to attain nationhood? When we begin talking about nationhood, well, what is nationhood and how do we attain it, right? How do we restore that in our communities? And that's one of the things our communities we're always striving towards that. We get bogged down in so many other things, but we're always striving towards nationhood. What does that mean and how do we achieve it, right? And I think that's where we can look to the institutions to help us in that, help us to understand, help us to navigate nationhood, right? So that we're not just talking about communities anymore, we're talking about nations. And so I want to say miigwech for those comments, Yao and Go, and we'll move to question 3. And the question 3 says, what can institutions do to increase visioning, teaching, and learning within Indigenous worldviews, languages, and teachings? Now, obviously a large, loaded question, so I'll ask our panelists, you know, keep it within 2 to 3 minutes. But again, what can institutions do to increase visioning, teaching, and learning within Indigenous worldviews, languages, and teachings? So we'll turn it over to Shelley.
Okay, Ron, we're going to have a discussion a little bit later. Very good points. I really appreciate being part of this panel with my colleagues this morning. So the question is, what can institutions do to increase visioning, teaching, and learning with Indigenous worldview, languages, and teachings? I guess one of the first things that comes to mind is that this very important work of understanding Indigenous worldviews and the needs of the students. The very first place I think we should start is leadership. That the individuals who are pushing forward are Indigenous people, and the individuals that are engaging other staff and other colleagues within the institution are Native people, Aboriginal people, Indigenous people. We can speak for ourselves, and as Carolyn had said, we know what we need. We are also educated, we are good speakers, we are elders and teachers in the community. So at this time, in 2019, I think that if institutions really wanted to be progressive and innovative, they should be encouraging Indigenous leadership and looking around within the institution and seeing who is available and who is doing that work. So that's one way. This question, it is a really long answer, as Bindage was saying, because as Education Council and the work that we do visioning all the time. And our team is very aware and can sit down and talk to you about what the 4-directional model means. There are graduates in this room that can tell you what those 4 colors mean and why red is in the east. So we do that sort of visioning on a daily basis. But in terms of the institution itself, I think it's really important that we have partnerships with the other schools and put together committees that are comprised of these other schools to work together, because that's where our students are going. Our students are in the social service worker programs, they're in police foundations, the health sciences, and we need to work with those individuals, with those senior administrators as well as the faculty and staff. And if you can approach the work of visioning and inclusion in that way, then what you're doing is you are writing a recipe for success.
Excellent. Miigwech, Shelley. Carolyn? Oh, pulling out the notes.
I'm joking, and you're right. So I'll try and be as brief as possible. I gave this one a lot of thought in terms of what we can do, and one of the first things that came to mind is that this needs to become an identified priority for the institutions. What gets written down gets done, to be honest, in the work that we do. And sometimes I feel that our institutions may be intimidated by making this a priority because we're not sure where to start, what to do, or how to do it. But that's okay. And I think at times there's a fear as well that we're going to drop the ball and we're not going to meet the goals that we identified. But that's okay too, because at least now you're starting as a foundation. You have the basis to work from. So you get a C or a D in Indigenous education. You're not going to start off with an A+. You know, now you have something to work from. And I think if it's going to be identified as a priority, then it needs to be authentic. The work that we do can't be something that you check off on a checklist saying, yep, done it, did it, moving on. And when I mean authentic, as I had said before, this is tough work that we're undertaking, and it's going to involve tough discussions that at times it's going to be difficult. But we need to ensure that Indigenous voice is being heard and recognizing expertise that's being brought to the table to these institutions. And we recognize, you know, yes, we work within a larger system, and for me, being flexible as an institution is absolutely critical if we're going to meet the diverse needs of our communities and the diverse priorities. The other big thing that needs to be recognized is that there needs to be investment, both in time and money. This is not going to happen overnight. We have years of work ahead of us. Have we made great strides? Absolutely. Is there still a lot of work to be done? Absolutely. This is going to be ongoing. So whether it's investing in training your staff, whether it's engaging in relationship building, which I strongly, strongly stress, get your butts out to the communities rather than the communities coming to you. One of the things I tell a lot of our administrators at the college in terms of relationship building is come down to our center, check out the events and things that we're undertaking. Are you feeling a little uncomfortable, not sure what to do, what the protocols are? Are you going to be the only non-Native person there? Well, guess what? Welcome to the reality of our students walking within the institution. Walk a mile in our shoes for a little bit and maybe get a better understanding of the experiences and the realities our students go through. We've heard it mentioned quite often as well in terms of the hiring of Indigenous people within our institutions. And again, this is incredibly important, from our frontline support staff to our faculty to senior administration. And I think the senior leadership is a really, really key area to grow and develop. As it stands now within the Ontario college system, we perhaps maybe have 4 or 5 senior leadership positions that are Indigenous specific. But when you look at the stats, we are the fastest growing population in Canada. We need to be in positions where we can make decisions and drive that change within our institution. So that's really, really incredible work that needs to be done there. And I guess there needs to be a recognition as well, again, as I had mentioned, that the institutions have to be willing to take risk. Are we going to get it right the first time? Probably not, and this is going to evolve over time. And again, it ties back to that relationship development, taking those risks and getting engaged. We can't do this work by ourselves. We need those allies and we need those champions. I look at the amazing work that's being undertaken at our colleges. We have folks like Jason who are huge advocates in supporting the work that we're trying to do to implement change. So again, I can go on, but those are kind of the core things that struck me.
Excellent. Miigwech, Carolyn. Jeff?
All right. 3 minutes or less, yeah?
Try.
Yeah, I really like Ron's earlier point about really we need to think thoroughly about placement and these centers and what their role and their function is going to be. And so when the first People's House was developed at UVic, back in 2009 is when it was finally built. We made sure it was right in the center of campus. It wasn't, the university wanted to put it way off campus. So there's these little battles that you fight that are significant. But at the end of the day, the university wanted to put all Indigenous services into this one house with this idea that we've contained it, right? And it was purposely built as a longhouse, so there's protocols involved in even the usage of the rooms and things like that that had to be ironed out. So I'm happy to say it's a work in progress, right? But I think we really needed to think more thoroughly about the function of that house, and that's still being debated. And so these are important discussions. Yeah, as folks were talking, I was thinking of what Shelley was saying about leadership, and I think accountability comes to mind, right? Having accountable leaders, and even having Indigenous folks in the upper echelons, the AVP Indigenous, right? To hold the president, or let's have Indigenous presidents, right? To actually hold folks to account for what they're going to do and what they're going to say. Funding, of course, is so key, right? But it's not the be-all and end-all. But I think we have to have flexible funding formats for elders honoraria and things like that. You know, a lot of elders have stopped working at our university because they get charged for parking, they get taxed for all these different things. We need to think this more, you know, we need to think this through if we're going to talk about knowledge holders on campus and how to accommodate them. Have emergency funding for students, have other forms of funding, like we came up with this term, relational knowledge grants, right, where you can establish kind of community ties. We have a mentorship group called, it's Lenongit, and it's actually funding to enable students to do basically work in their own communities on their own terms, right? So finding flexible ways to allow students to engage in meaningful ways with their communities or another community that they're not a part of necessarily. What else can I say? It's interesting that probably on maybe two hands we can name the number of people that have written dissertations in their own language and haven't necessarily translated it. I'm thinking of Fred Metallic. There's probably others that I've missed. I know there are a lot of Hawaiians that have done it more recently. But what does that look like if we expand the notion of what even a dissertation, redefine what a dissertation or a master's project or even a senior thesis project looks like? It could be, you can imagine different formats, whether it's you know, media format or digital format or a community-friendly format that's going to be put to use and that's going to be immediately relevant to the needs of that community. I guess it's similar to all of you. I could go on and on and on, so I better stop here. Oh, I will say the last thing. I had a brother, I think, is it David, the back, who approached me yesterday after my talk, and he said, and I really appreciate what he said. He said, "Why did you shorten the story that you told, how medicine came to the people?" And it was interesting. I said, "Well, because of time and the audience." And I was thinking later, and he said, "Well, you know, we do that too much in the academy. We compromise our teachings in ways that accommodate the, you know, the time frame of the, for lack of a better term, colonizer, right? And so, or to the various audiences that we're speaking to. So it really got me thinking about decolonizing time, our sense of time, and how can the university accommodate our seasonal changes as Cherokees, as Mohawks, right, as Anishinaabe. How do those look if we're setting the tone for the notion of time? And we know that time. We've talked a little bit about how you know, students are on those different time frames, and the university artificially constructs their own time frame, right? So how do we combat those sometimes competing notions of time, and especially in formats like the university? So, and combat our 3 minutes of time.
Yeah. I'll be with you, Paula.
I think just kind of adding on to what everybody's saying, I think that all the institutions really need to put the money where their mouth is, because that's part of the big problem. Like in our program, David Newhouse and I, as the two, he's the undergrad chair and I'm the PhD director, and we're supervising 22 students of the 35 students in the program, while most of the non-Indigenous faculty are supervising like 2 or 3. You know, like there really has to be, and we're serving on all of these different committees and, you know, doing all of this other work too. You know, it takes up a huge amount of our time where also trying to do work for our communities, you know, because when our communities or other communities calling us to do work, we have to do that. We can't say no. We have to do what other communities and our own communities need us to do. But at the same time, the institution doesn't seem to recognize that as service, like in the same way, right? They don't recognize that as being service that should count toward merit and tenure, right, in that kind of sense. But I mean, on the other hand, I feel lucky to work at Trent and to be in the Indigenous Studies program. You know, I feel like I can create ethical research that has, you know, practical applicability, because I think that's our responsibility as Indigenous scholars. If we're not producing scholarship that has practical applicability, if it's not creating autonomy for our communities or other communities, then we shouldn't be doing it. And that's the thing I learned from being in that program as a student, you know, that we have that kind of responsibility. And I often think of other graduate students and the work that they're trying to do. And, you know, one of the things that they have to do in our PhD program, they have to do a practicum in a community to give back to the community, and they can't be paid for that. You know, and they often do that over the summer when there's no funding, right? So their funding cycle, most of what their funding that they get goes toward paying their tuition. If they don't have band funding, it goes to, or even if they do, sometimes it's not enough to meet their needs, right? And so they go and they do this practicum that could be up to 3 months to give back. And now we've just required that all students have to do the Bamadswin and Tuanetsario option, so they have to apprentice with an elder or knowledge holder, because it's a very IK-focused program. And so that also means that they're going to need funding. They're going to need money to be able to support the elder and to do those things, right? To provide gifts, to do those things that they have to do for that relationship. You know, and so that's an important kind of part of the program. But the institution really needs to, if they're going to use us to, you know, as programs, and if they're going to use us to say, oh, we have this great program, it's been here for 50 years, then show us the money so that we can actually do better work, because we don't have enough faculty, you know, and I think that that's across the board. And the point is, none of the other programs have a lot of faculty either, so if they would just hire Indigenous faculty, then they could serve their needs as well, right? And then those faculty will actually help to indigenize those programs. So I guess that's what I could share at this point. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Paula.
So just a couple things. First, I would echo the leadership piece. And Jason, if you don't mind, I'm going to use you as an example in a moment. So, first, to echo the leadership piece, I have one of two executive roles, in other words, reporting directly to the president at the VP level in the college system in Ontario. And I can tell you that that has made a world of a difference, even from being at the senior leadership level to the executive level. And the stuff that we're doing, the conversations we're having, the kind of thinking that we're discussing changes quite significantly simply at that level. The other piece is about decolonization, this idea of redefining time. I don't know how many Mohawks you know, but I wouldn't want them to do that. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. You got to be a brave Oneida to make fun of Mohawks. Just kidding. If there's any Gunyatahaga in the room, but decolonization is important, and I would suggest that something. So this might rub folks the wrong way. I'll apologize in advance, but just hear the thinking first. Number one, I'm not saying I'm right. This is just what I'm thinking. I think we need to redefine what indigeneity means. I think we have to ask ourselves, what are we trying to do when we talk about Indigenous people? My answer would be that we're trying to talk about a specific group of people relative to a specific geographical location, relative to a specific amount of time. And I think we can do that using our language. For instance, Haudenosaunee means, right, a certain group of people relative to a certain place, relative to a certain time, Anishinaabe, etc. I think that our current way of using the word Indigenous is simply an additional colonial framework. In other words, by saying that I'm Indigenous and Jason's not, separating us from them is not helpful. It's not beneficial. It actually continues to put us on a reserve, different, isolated in a way. That's the reason we're not a priority. Regardless if we're the fastest growing population, regardless if the residential school systems at 60 Scoop, I'm not saying those aren't important. I'm saying to non-Indigenous people, they're not important because it's not part of them. If you start looking at indigeneity through the lens of we're all connected to Mother Earth, that I'm no more Indigenous than Jason is. Perhaps my people, Ungwahoe, original people, are more local and connected to this place. Obviously not this place, recognizing that it's Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, but I'm just saying relatively speaking. So if we're trying to say Ungwahoe, my point is we all drink the same water, we breathe the same air, and we share the same planet. And so when we talk about we need to save the planet, my response is it's kind of bullshit. She's going to be fine. What we're talking about is saving ourselves. We are the ones that are in jeopardy of losing. The bees are doing what the bees are supposed to. The trees are doing what the trees are supposed to. The water's doing what the water's supposed to. It is the colonial construct, the way of thinking that has separated us from them, that continues to make us different and them not care about us. If we can start thinking about how we're connected, how we're related, and how we're interdependent, which is locked in Diganahela Dungsa, the Thanksgiving address, I'm thinking of my own traditional knowledge, our own traditional knowledge. It talks about that. It talks about the interconnection, the interrelation, the interdependency. It talks about the two-legged. It doesn't talk about the Haudenosaunee. It doesn't talk about the Inuit. It talks about the two-legged. I would suggest, therefore, that it's from that perspective that we always recognized we're all Indigenous. It's that colonial mind frame that came over from across the water that makes me important, my house, my family, my yard, my kids, and don't talk to them. That's the sickness we have to start taking out of our minds so that we can go back to that Unajinkwat Lihoda and Guatniguha, the good mind and being of one mind.
I'll go. Excellent. So we have one more question, and we're beginning to lead into this question, and just from the comments back and the responses back from our panelists, is how is education changing, and how are institutions innovating? And I think there's a lot to talk about, but we've already started to touch upon this in the last responses. So we'll turn it over to Shelley with regards to how is education changing and how are institutions innovating?
So how is education changing and how are institutions innovating makes me think about the recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, those 94 calls to action. And at Humber College, so I'll speak from Humber College perspective, what we have done as a community is we've identified 7 of those areas of the TRC that we can engage in, 7 areas that we can get something done, start getting something done, and then also do well. So one of the areas that as an institution we agreed to go forward with is the whole notion of sports as reconciliation. So what we did is we worked with the local, and Kwezans Busno was one of the key players in this partnership as well, is we worked with the local sports organization, the OSCO team, and we agreed as an institution that we were going to host 800 Indigenous athletes here at the college, as well as sponsor the basketball and the volleyball tournaments. So that was one thing that the college was being innovative in. There were other institutions, but for Humber College, that was the beginning of implementing some of those calls to the TRC. And another recommendation from the TRC is the commitment to Indigenous education. At Humber College, we've written it right into our strategic plan, which, as Carolyn was alluding to, put it down in writing. Our institution has also embedded the commitment to striving to develop Indigenous curriculum in the academic plan. And those are the 2 really big plans that an institution puts forward. So in terms of innovation, I can say that our team, as well as our elders, some of them are here, including Onabinese, who has helped us and moved us going forward in that innovative way to make what we do, what we continue to do, relevant to learners in communities today.
We go ahead, Shelley. Carolyn?
I think what we're seeing now is a bit of a paradigm shift, especially under this wave of truth and reconciliation. I've seen a number of post-secondary institutions, and forgive my terminology, but it almost feels like folks are jumping on the bandwagon right now in terms of Indigenous education, which in some ways is very, very welcome, because at least now we have a voice and a bit of a presence and greater awareness of the work that we're doing with the institution. So in terms of the shift, what I've seen personally is I'm spending a heck of a lot of less time justifying why we do things the way we do, and getting more approached, being approached more often for partnerships and engagement this way, to the point where we need to hire more people to meet the requests that are coming out. The other big shift I kind of see is that we're working within the college system anyways, a lot more collaboratively as opposed to competitively. We want our youth in post-secondary education, whether it's at Humber, Algonquin, Canada, or Sioux College, it doesn't matter. We want to support our learners to attain higher education. And it's a very strong support network amongst the Indigenous educators within the systems. I think we're seeing an increased presence and voice within our institutions. There's definitely a lot more growth and work to do there, but I think you're starting to see a bit of a shift there in terms of hiring more Indigenous people and being more inclusive that way. So when you talk about innovating, the laundry list is long. There's a lot of amazing, great things going on within our institutions, and that continues to need support. We need our institutions to think outside of the box and to be innovative and to take that time to invest not only in Indigenous education, but themselves, to learn about who we are as Indigenous people. What does that mean as a Canadian citizen? I think right now we're starting to see a lot more truth-telling happening within our institutions. So a lot of change coming down in a good way, I think.
You guys, Carolyn. Jeff?
All right. When I was in Australia about 2 years ago and came across some, basically some of the institutions had reconciliation action plans. And they're really detailed, like there are 5-year plans. I'm thinking that's kind of what we're doing here, right? But there's some real innovations not only on Turtle Island, but all over the place in terms of Indigenous education. And so the idea was that you'd be accountable for each year in terms of justifying some of your programming, especially Indigenous programming. So I think sometimes it's useful to get outside of these narrow constraints, and this is where compartmentalization is our enemy, right? The university sometimes silos us out, so you can be Indigenous in this space, but not in this space. You can't, let's not talk indigeneity and wildlife biology, but you can talk indigeneity and Indigenous studies. So we need to get at, so I see a lot of a lot of universities innovating in terms of creating institutes that go across those fields. And I think that's really where the future is. So one of the things we've done at UVic, and it's not a plug for UVic, but it sort of is, I guess, is created a certificate in Indigenous nationhood that crosses law, political science, Indigenous studies, all these different fields, so that students can get that training in all those different fields with those faculty. So we've got these rock stars, John Burroughs and Val Napoleon and Heidi Stark, as part of that program, where they wouldn't ordinarily get access to those Indigenous professors. So I think thinking differently about the structure. The other is land-based programming. There's a lot of really cool experiential or land-based programming. DeChinta up north, with Glenn Coulthard and some of the folks there, those are real innovations in terms of elder-led programming in the community, and you're out in the bush, right? It's Bush University, basically. And so finding those innovations, and that's something we've done a little bit with the University of Hawaii in field schools, but we can get more innovative, right? We can find different ways. In terms of other, I guess, innovations, having almost new agreements or almost like treaties, if you will, with local Indigenous nations on tuition waivers and other things like that. So why should Indigenous peoples from the territory be paying tuition, right, to these universities that are housed on their territory? So finding ways through that that discussion, or even Indigenous students who happen to be, bisected by that medicine line, finding ways to waive international fees or something like that, right? Those are things that we've been working on a little bit. And then there's interesting stuff in kind of the digital age around Indigenous programming and education, not only with language revitalization, but also artificial artificial reality or artificial, forms of what's it? Oh, augmented, thank you. Reality, right? Or virtual reality systems where you actually can use pictures of your territory, even though you're not on your territory, and have learning tools relating to, visual or virtual reality. And so Vince Diaz at University of Minnesota is doing some interesting work. He's basically talking about, what if the impacts of climate change prevent us from actually going back to our territory, right, as an islander, right, as a Pacific Islander. So he's creating new virtual interactive experiences where students can actually go online, even though they're in different parts of the world, and engage in different practices online, right, through these virtual reality kind of mechanisms. So those are some interesting possible future applications. So
Paula.
So maybe just to add a little bit, because I've talked a lot already, I guess, about the PhD program. So the students are, I think, doing some really innovative work. But one of the things we're trying to figure out, and I think Jeff brought this up, is do they actually have to write a dissertation? Is there another way of them showing the knowledge that they have that gets them to the point of having a PhD without having to actually write that document? Because how useful is that document for everyone, right, in that kind of sense? So we're looking at that. We've also been talking to Manalani Meyer about the idea of developing a master's in applied IK, like they have in Hawaii. And so in that sense, someone like James Wheatung, who is a master at doing Minoman, could get a master's degree. So you wouldn't necessarily have to have a bachelor's degree. You just have to have an Indigenous practice that you do. And you want to learn more about that, and you want to, continue to build on that. And that's the way kind of it was envisioned by the Hawaiians and the Maoris. So we've been talking to them a lot about doing that. And we're hoping that Manalani can kind of come back and kind of work with us, to work through the ideas of that. And but we haven't had a lot of trouble getting Trent to buy into a lot of stuff that we've done. We've got them to buy into it. The issue is getting the funding to cover this kind of thing, because, and actually the province has said that Indigenous programs are the only programs that they will approve new programs for, and so it goes, I think, back to what Shelley said, if we build those things into our strategic plans, like Trent has right in the actual governing of the university, that Indigenous knowledge is a valid way to understand the world. And should be respected, that and that Trent wants to remain at the forefront of Indigenous scholarship and research, right, in that sense. So if those things kind of get built into the actual, fabric of the university, then I think it's easier to get them to buy in and to see that as being valid. One thing I just wanted to say really quickly, based on what Ron had said about the idea of indigeneity, I always think about this, how our elder William Commanda talked about this when he developed the Circle of All Nations, that all people are indigenous to this earth, and all people were given original instructions and ways of understanding the world. I heard Jim say that in his lecture a couple days ago as well. That all people of this earth were given original instructions, original languages, and original ways of understanding the world. And William really felt that by bringing everyone together, before he passed away, he felt that bringing everyone together in August at his community at Kitagan-Zibi, that he could get them to see that it doesn't help them to appropriate our cultures. They need to learn their own original languages and their own original ways of understanding the world, and they have them. So they need to go and find out what they are, because our ways of understanding the world here are not going to solve all of the world's issues around climate and all of those. We need all of those original languages. And one of the things that I found out pretty recently is that, like, for instance, Celtic language is related to trees, right? Like, so if everyone understood Celtic language, how much more would we understand about trees as beings, right? In that sense, and all of these languages have that way as well. So people need to find out about their original instructions and their original languages and restore those. And and it's possible to do it because there are people in Northern Europe doing it right now. So miigwech.
Oh my gosh. Taking a dozen.
Oh, that gives me the chills to hear that. That's fantastic. I'm fortunate enough to live very close and work semi-close with folks at Kitty be like Anita Tenasco and folks. So I want to look into that more when I get back to Ottawa. Just two things. Well, three. I apologize. My eyelid's been jumping for 2 weeks and it's driving me nuts. My grandma said that means you're going to win money, but I don't know. Or no, wait, that's an itchy palm. I don't know what the eyelid is. Anyway, iPad. Oh, yes. Traditional iPad eye jumping here. So just two quick things. One of which is I can tell you what it's not. It's not these land acknowledgements that everybody's doing right now. That's important, that's cool, but it is free and does not commit the institution to anything. That is a check on a box, and now everybody does it, and sometimes you go to a conference and every minister and deputy minister and everybody up there says the same thing as if we didn't know what territory we're on by the 6th or 7th time. What I really liked about what Shelley said is that here at Humber, they've identified 7 of them. When I speak to folks, when it comes to land acknowledgements, I say, great, but what are you doing about it? What kind of commitment comes with that? What numbers are you going to be addressing? What metrics are you attaching to that? If you're going to say that this is taking place on the traditional territory of X or Y or Z, then say, and we commit to number 14 or 47 or whatever, and to do something measurable by a time frame. That would be cool and innovative. That is something we are doing at Algonquin College. Again, not a commercial for Algonquin, but just to say that it's being accepted and it's moving the needle forward. So Shelley, I'd love to talk about those seven that you folks have identified. The other thing that's practical is relative to the structure. First of all, I agree with everything that I heard. I think that's great. Relative to the structure at Algonquin, when I started 2 years ago, I was reporting to a VP in student services, and it wasn't working. Part of it is because the colonial mind frame and the structural hierarchy at the college is verticals, right? There's marketing, there's HR, there's academy, student services. I advocated for a year. After a year, it worked. I now have my own stream, but it's a horizontal. So in other words, there's eight executives or whatever. Let's just say there's 8 of us. That means, when there's a vertical of marketing and recruitment, when there's a vertical of the academy and student services and HR and finance, my stream is actually a horizontal. And so that means I have responsibility to pair up with each of those executive peers to do stuff in marketing, to do stuff in human resources, to do stuff in student services, et cetera, et cetera. So that has given us a really unique way of not only partnering and looking for good-minded commitments and partnership collaboration, but now each of those executives are responsible in their business plans, which go to the board. So they have to do it because it's the right thing to do, but they're also responsible to do it because it's part of their performance contracts. And that's by just taking an Indigenous approach to say our connection is to the entire ecosystem, and what does that mean, and how do we mark that? So.
Yeah, I'll go. Excellent. Miigwech to all the panelists. And we're going to open it up at this time for a few questions and answers. I just figured out that MC means the master of colonization because I'm supposed to try to keep everybody online and on time. That's the way you begin to feel, though, because I'm supposed to keep people on time. So, but I agree. We work on Anishinaabe time, and as long as things take, that's as long as they take. But we'll open it up to question and answers. I know that there are a lot of great information here, and I think the wealth of knowledge and the wealth of understanding at this table. You really start to see and envision, a strategy forward for Indigenous education, or for education that's meaningful for our people. And so I'm sure that somebody has a question or a comment or some reflection back for our panelists here. Oh, there you are.
It's all right. I'm just going to move around because I want to get really close to where I think it's really important. And there's people from Thunder Bay. That's my home community anyway. So good to see you. Anyways, like I listened to talking to the shaman or the doctor yesterday, and I appreciate that you acknowledge what I said to you. And one of the most important things I think this gentleman talked about was the acknowledgements. We heard about acknowledgements. We heard about innovations. We heard about what the institution want to do to reflect on changes and do what's right for the people that's out there. You know what? I've never heard any one of you mention empowerment to the individuals that come to your institutions. You know what? We forget to empower these young people for what they've accomplished to come here, and that they're in. You know what? That's the most important thing, because from the beginning, when we first come out of our mother's womb onto this gift of Mother Earth, it's a learning experience. You know what? That learning experience continues unhindered as long as we live that spiritual way of life connected to the land. The most important thing this man talked about, acknowledgements to the land. And everybody here, what they do, it's a free thing to acknowledge the land. Right? Acknowledge where we are as people, what the changes have to be. You know what, you can't just, like you said, acknowledgement is free. But you know what, when we make those changes for the people to you know what, those people down here, you know what, our leaders and these people are up here are the decision makers. Eh? But what about those people down here? How are they gonna, you know what, feel empowered when they're being pushed back down? You know what they say, these people say, yeah, we're on the traditional territories of this place, but we don't recognize the people for what they're doing here. You know what, we don't acknowledge, you know what, the changes that have to be done to move us ahead. You know what, we could acknowledge everything we want, do all these acknowledgements and do everything we want. You know what, they continue that way. But until you start making those, changing those laws and making those laws, whether it's just a bylaw, whether it's a law, you know what, empowering those people to do what's right. You talked about truth and reconciliation. What happened to the justice within that? Within that, I remember 5 years ago, 6 years ago, going on a walk through the city and going in there and going to meet Sinclair. And that's what one of the things was the justice that was there. You know what? All I've heard lately is about the truth and reconciliation, but there's no justice for our people. You know what? When we just talk and there's nothing done about it. You know what? We got to empower these people to, you know what? They got the gifts within inside here, within them. And they can do anything they want to do in this life as long as they're unhindered. You know what? The challenges that they have to go through to come here, right? They've accomplished that. You know what? Empower them for what they've done, right? And that they don't put them back down and say, hey, you know what? You're a little weak person. We're going to do this, man. You know what? Let these people direct you. These people here are just here as tools to enhance their gifts. Okay? And that's what we forget. We all got gifts here. We all got gifts within us. And that there, but we're too focused on out here. Okay? We're focused on what you want to teach us, not what we want to learn. Most people, when they go into an education system in that first year, okay, they're changing their electives. They're not continuing to do the things they want. When they first come into your institutions, you know what? One of them wants to be a lawyer. Right? That's what they want to be. They want to be a lawyer. They want to be something. So that's where they're looking at it. But you know what? Within that first year, that empowerment isn't there. The discouragement is there. Right? The person's grades are a bit lower, so you say, you know what, you're not going to do well here. As much as you love this, you're not going to do well in that program. So you know what, you're better off to go here. You have marks that here, and then you push, you know what, you guide that person into a place where he don't want to go, where he's not going to use the best of his abilities within himself. Right? So we have to learn, you know what, learn what these people want. Listen to what they have to teach you. Because you're not going to get nowhere. You're not going to get nowhere unless you take the community's voice and bring it into you and incorporate that into what you want to do to make your system better. And that, you know what, I talked to this gentleman about yesterday. I want to talk to him about, you know what, that time frame. You know what, we try to teach people about this good way of life, but we you know what, we condense all our stories. You know what, for 50, 60, even hundreds of years, 100 years, that's been what's been happening because, you know what, our teachings have been bastardized, if that's a good word or whatever. You know what, they've been taken away. This guy was a good example yesterday, and I told, as I was talking with the people at the table, you know what, it's a good example of what he's doing. That teaching he was sharing. He goes, well, you know what, I'm going to tell you about a teaching, but you know what, he only shared part of that teaching. And all these people in the group out here, you know what, that retention rate they have, they're going to hold on to every word you said. So when they're going to share that, you know what, they're going to share that condensed version. But to that condensed version is going to be the knowledge that's all these people have. So they get a 20% of that teaching, and that just continues. You know, you got to remember, all our good ways of life are not, they're simple. They're working things. You know what, they're here. They're not out there. You know what, when we're sitting like this here, it's good, it's going to sustain us with our hand out. But we have all the gifts within. And these people here are here to enhance those gifts, not take away from them. That's what we have to empower these people. Empower all the youth, empower all the children. One of the most important things is that, you know, that education begins right from the first time you come out of that mother's womb. Your education is beginning unhindered. Your hands, your parents, you know what? All that goes up, that knowledge, that land, where you are, those teachings and everything. You carry that with you no matter where you go. And that what takes away from it is when, you know what, when we don't get to express it. You know what, we don't get the chance to you know what, connect with everybody here. We're losing that connection when you only share part of who we are. Nobody knows me better than I know myself, other than Creator. One of the most important things we have to do is challenge people. You know, it took a lot of courage for me to go up to tell that man, you know what, it's not right. You have a responsibility as a teacher, as an educator, to teach the whole story, not just a partial. And that's what happens in the institutions. Because, you know what, these people go back with only part of education. They don't get fulfilled. And that so I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just want to share that you know what, it's important that we take what these gifts that these people have. They're coming to you, right? For you to enhance, not to take away. And that's what happens in a lot of these places. We talk about safe environments. Right? The safe environment is with these people here, our youth perceive us, eh? And the knowledge that they carry. You know what, you talk about that DNA, you talk about that traditional knowledge, and how we have it, that's the most important thing. You know what, those teachings we have, and that they were given to you. You talked about, you said you talked about, Ed wasn't here for Demont's speech, but you talked about that. You know what, wherever he is, if you're in China, you know what, that's your indigenous knowledge. You know what, we don't own this gift of spirituality, the Anishinaabe people. We don't own this gift, good way of life. It was given to every creature on Mother Earth. It's just that the Anishinaabe people, our people, we held on to those teachings the longest because it was a shared knowledge from the beginning. My mother, my grandfathers, you know what, they told you when I was a youth, you know what, walking with my grandfathers in the bush, right, walking with those people, doing that, sharing that, those experiences, blueberry picking. You know what, those were all important to me because when I got taken away from that, you know what, then my life became unhindered. The spiritual growth within the land became unhindered. When I took back, you know what, we talk about survival, surviving. But every one of us as Anishinaabe people are survivors. Right? And that we're not victims. When we lose that victim mentality, then we'll find the Anishinaabe spirit inside of us. You know what, that got taken away, the residential school. But, you know what, those residual effects that happened. It's not because that, when we look at it, you know what, less than 4% at any given time, less than 4% of our people were in that system. But it affected the whole family. It affected the land, it affected everything. And you know what, I'm sorry I'm taking so much time here. I'm not sure, but you know what, we got to keep those teachings. I talked to you about about that. Nobody knows yourself better than you, other than Creator. You know why that is? Because that's a gift that's within all of us. It's called the gift of truth. Right? And then those gifts of truth that we have all inside of us, you know what? Nobody can take it away from us. Yeah? Nobody can take those gifts away. They're all there. You know what? Residential school experiences, they can't take those gifts away. Creator gave those gifts to everybody here. He gave those gifts to the red man, the white man, the black man, the yellow man. But the red man, you know what? We kept on to those gifts. We kept holding on to them because we shared that knowledge. From the time we grew up, my mom teaching me, her mother teaching her, her grandmother teaching her. Now we're forgetting that. We forget that because the time factor, those colonial time factors, those things, those pressures that you're placed on to get your systems across. You know what? We don't, when we stop teaching, when we only teach apart, we're hindering. You know what? We push one of our most important teachings out of our Southern grandfather teachings, our teaching of kindness, because we included another gift, a gift that's within all of us in that teaching, the teaching the truth. Right? It's within us all. And you know what? How we reflect the teaching of truth to others is the honesty, is the teaching of that gift of truth. And that there's, so you know what? We have to always remember where these teachings come from. Okay? We talked about that the elder that was here, somebody shared me the story that he had, and you know what? Even though I wasn't there, I knew exactly what that was because I heard that story before from when I was young. So you know what? Those are the teachings that we have to empower. We can't just take the time and shorten these. The and I was glad that you did that because it gave me an opportunity to challenge you. Because that's what we have. You know what, all these youth, they have a right to challenge you. Yeah? Because they have just as much knowledge. It's just that it's not there yet.
Well, right on. Thank you.
Rich, thank you.
Miigwech. So I just want to give an opportunity for our panelists to reflect on that. Myself, and I just want to acknowledge that I think we talked a lot about empowerment, and the panelists have addressed that in different ways that they're doing it, and I would like to give them an opportunity to maybe readdress that. But one of the things that I think is important is that, you know, when we talk about, and I hear you saying, you know, that our children are being hindered, that sometimes the moment that, and what I'm hearing is the moment that they came from the womb, right? That in our communities today, the sad reality is that most of the time they're being hindered. They're being hindered in their ability to be Anishinaabe, to be Haudenosaunee. And so my thought, and I just want to reflect something back, is that when they enter into these institutions, and I've seen it many times myself, that when I was a student, many of the other students I came across, they came to the university, they came to the college to do something. It wasn't to gain an education, it was to find themselves. It was to find who they were. What they were looking for in a book. And I told them, I said, you know, you're only going to learn a little bit from that book about who you are. Where you come from is out there. That's where you're going to learn what it is you need to, what you're looking for. And so I just want to reflect about that, because many of the students that come to these institutions, they're trying to find themselves. They're trying to find themselves. And I want to let the panelists then reflect upon how they're doing that then within their institutions to empower the youth, empower the students, the learners who come to their institutions. So I'm going to turn it over to Shelley, and I believe maybe Jeff has a few words to share, and Doug does. Now I messed it up. Dega Danadesa. Shelley.
Oh, I'm going to have to stand up for this one. So now we're way over time. And I'm so glad it wasn't me. But I want to say chi miigwech for that presentation that we just heard. And at times it was a little uncomfortable to be being pointed at. And I'll explain it in this way. All of us sitting in this panel are what we know, who we know has exceptions in our families. All of us who are sitting at this panel are the first high school graduates in our families. All of us sitting in this panel are the first college graduates and the first university graduates, and for some of us in our extended families. So if I look at myself and I look at the community that I'm raised in, I can tell you, and I can tell you how far that I can see that I am the only high school graduate. So when we sit here and we create this safe place for all of us to share, and you will have an opportunity after the breakout, which is how we designed it, so that you can talk about in a circle, in our way, about those issues that need to be discussed. We created that place for you, but what I wanted to also mention, and I'll say it in this way because we have some non-Indigenous colleagues and friends in the room. When we talk about Indigenous education, and when we talk about engagement of our communities, and when we talk about how precious life is, when we talk about our young people, when we come to the table, that's exactly what we're bringing. We're sitting there with all of our communities, We're sitting there with all the young people who don't have that voice. We become that voice. All of those ones that aren't there, we're thinking about them all the time. And that could mean sometimes that people say we're slow. Sometimes we take too long. Sometimes we go over time because we need to have this time to share with each other. But it's not for nothing that we do this. And we are doing this, and I know all of these people here, that we are doing this for the young people. We're doing this to honor our ancestors and the community and our grandparents where we came from. And the way we try to be is Indigenous leaders. So we can stand here and we can sit here and we can hear you. And it makes us feel connected. And that we know that the work that we're doing is like right on for the future. Like Karen was talking about the futuristic bundles. Everybody in this room has contributed so far to this huge bundle. But our non-Indigenous colleagues, sometimes they can't understand. And that's what we have to push through every day. And we do that in the best way that we can. So I want to say Chimigwech for that, but I also know that we have a time for individuals that need to sit down with an elder. We have an elder, Argichi Aya of our lodge here with us. And if you need to have that time, that's why he is here. He's here waiting for you to come and ask him, offer some tobacco for that time that you need. We've made sure that we've brought one of our best elders here to sit with you. So we don't want him to sit alone. So that's why he's here. He's here for you. And there was an inference about the young people who've come from the remote and northern communities. There's this notion of empowerment. That is why at Humber College we invited them here. We want them to know that in everything that we do, we think about all of our people, whether they live in the north where we can't see them or in other parts of the region. We bring them here. We want to empower them, encourage them, and we want you to meet them. And they'll meet us on their own time. And we're providing that space for them. Everything that you talked about is what we are trying to achieve here. And I am so happy that you are here to witness the way your concerns, to witness the way it can be done at all institutions. So I want to say miigwech for your words.
Oh, miigwech. I'll turn it over to Jeff and get a desk on.
Yeah, what for that, Shelley and David too. You know, the university, the original meaning of the term university is where you go to find your place in the universe, right? And I think a lot of folks have gotten away from that, right? The idea is that, you know, this is a place where you go to find yourself in some ways. And yeah, I think I get excited when folks challenge me because I know that that's taken in the spirit of respect. And so I invite youth and I invite other folks to challenge our, you know, what we're saying or to engage in a respectful disagreement, right? Because that's the way we extend our thinking. There's so much knowledge and talent in this room. And so, you know, that's one of the things that I started with in the first question is I would talk to the Indigenous youth to see what they need, right? What success means. So, yeah, I think I look forward to our discussions later this afternoon, but I think the tone that I got from this panel and the way I can only speak for myself on this is we're approaching this with a great deal of love for the land and for our people. And so, you know, for me, I always think of my 12-year-old daughter and how do I strengthen her? How does she become a strong Cherokee woman, right? And so that's my motivation in talking about these things and all these different experiences, ways that I've walked through this world, and in some ways being the first, you know, PhD and college graduate, right, in my family. So I appreciate the teachings too about stories, and it's given me a lot to think about in terms of how we present. I was telling David last night that I would not shorten that story for my daughter, right? But I did for this particular audience, and it wasn't designed to hinder, but I can see how that could be taken up. But with my daughter and even within my own community, there are certain times where you tell these stories, and there are certain ways that you tell them, right? So I need to think about how I walk into these rooms and how we're constrained by time. So it's a really valuable teaching that we're being offered in a way that we're being engaged. But all that to say is that I think even though empowerment wasn't used specifically, I think there was an undercurrent, and there was certainly for me a motivation to think about ways to strengthen these future leaders and these future folks in our communities, because that is indeed our future of our nation, right? Our nationhood is in this room, and so having that sense of it, and date est oti, that which we use to help ourselves. We all have these gifts, and so how do we bring out those gifts in the best way with each of these people? And if in an ideal sense, in the best sense, I learn just as much as I teach, right? So we're all engaging in that reciprocity of exchanging knowledge, but we have to exchange it in a place where we feel safe, where we feel comfortable being able to exchange it without it being taken out of context. As a friend of mine used to say, sharing is not taking, right? And so just like, I would share that story, it's not meant to be taken out of context. It's not meant to be taken in different places. It's shared as shared knowledge, right? So that the teachings are grounded there. So that's all I'll say.
They're going to do something.
Maybe just to say, David, that I wanted to really thank you for this teaching. For me, particularly, like I think I subconsciously kind of thought about that, but to hear those particular words that we have a responsibility for the bundles of students that come into our institutions, that puts a different kind of, I don't know, it's like I said, I know that subconsciously, but to hear it very literally reminds me of our responsibilities, and thinking about how we move forward, and particularly in the context of that first question, what do Indigenous students need to succeed and be well? They need us to take on that responsibility and to do that. So I just wanted to thank you for reminding us of that. Miigwech.
Oh, my gosh.
So I've been sitting here thinking about what I want to say. First, I'll start by saying I'm not a disrespectful person, and I don't mean to be outwardly disrespectful. I will say that that made me very uncomfortable for an extended amount of time. Not the message or the teachings, I agree and quite appreciate all those, but I think we have to be conscious of how we conduct ourselves. My name, Diganadasan, what that means in the language is 2 towns coming up. So for myself, I know that I balance quite often, daily, and quite rigidly how to work within both of these towns. I reflect on the Gaswenta, the Turo Wampum, and how they say that never should those 2 rows meet. I think it's some interesting thinking, because I think the rows have met and we're converged. That's a different topic for a different time, but just a bit of coaching, I think, for specifically youth and students and folks who are working or aspiring to leadership levels. We have to think about not only the message that we're carrying, but also the way we're being perceived. Time is different for us. We do have to take the time to express what we need, but we have to do it in a way that works. And I know that, I'll just say that, I would suggest that we continue to be purposeful with how we interact with each other, specifically in a structured place. And that's really for mutual benefit for all involved.
Yeah, Miigwech. And I just want to maybe just touch on that last point, and just to say that nobody in this room is here for the reason that they're not engaged or want to be engaged with empowering our people forward, right? That I know that individuals wouldn't be invited to this table or wouldn't be invited into this room if they were actually working against that initiative, right? And so we're all working towards the same goal. And sometimes we may look at things and we may think, well, we can quite easily look at chief and council in our community and say they're not doing anything. but yet every single day they're doing something. They're putting out fires in the community, but we quite easily could say they're not doing anything for our community. And we say that quite a bit, right? What did my chief do for me this week, right? And it's quite easy to say that. But we know that the chief was working 16 hours a day and that he was getting phone calls and that he had to put out, he had to respond to this family that was in crisis over here and had to do this. And then he got called to a meeting in Ottawa or Toronto that was also very important, right? And so that those individuals are pulled in many directions. It's the same here, right? That these individuals have been working diligently in academics and academic institutions to get us to where we are today. It's not perfect, right? But we're getting there, right? And many of the institutions that we're talking about here, and there was some shameless plugs. No, I'm just joking. But talking about institutions that are making movement, right? That are making true movement forward, right? And so I think it was a great panel, and so I want to say miigwech to our panelists. Let's give them a round of applause. So miigwech for your time, and we truly appreciate well, because
I can be short.
Okay, all right, okay.
I realize time constraints are being applied right here. I just have two comments that perhaps we could carry on into the breakout sessions. And they're dealing specifically with student welfare and success. And it's two social concerns that I pose to the panel, the student body, the students. Number one, it's the gravitational pull of the reserve affecting the student and their success at post-secondary. And I'll give a couple examples. Maybe you come from the reserve, the apathetic reserve where people don't really care that you succeed. Or the reserve where, maybe you've heard this, who do you think you are? You think you're better than the rest of us? Or you have the other reserve where, oh, you're joining white man's way. All right? So I'm just thinking about how we enable and help our youth to overcome our own community's prejudices.
Yes.
Because I think that's what's drawing them back. They start their semester by Christmas, they've lost hope, and they go back to that safety net, as dysfunctional as it may be. Secondly, and don't get me wrong, I'm talking about student success, and I've noticed a huge amount of female educational success. And I congratulate and applaud all the women in the room who do it, and more power to you. But I've noticed a discrepancy between the female achievement and the male achievement in our communities. And I'm just curious as to what everybody thinks the reason that is. Is it our own communities holding back our young male youth from achieving? Are there those opportunities not being presented to them? How do we fix that? Why are they gravitating to substance abuse or not feeling that they can be as successful? Anyways, we don't have to answer those now.
Yeah.
I just have 5 words. We are conditioned, not determined.
Okay. So great thoughts, and I think those are great comments and great questions that we begin looking at in the breakout sessions, because we are going to move towards the breakout sessions, and those types of questions, those types of comments, those types of thoughts are welcome, and we can begin discussing those in the breakout session, because I think those are some great comments and questions. How do we answer those things, right? How do we answer those things as communities, right? As a community in this room, how do we answer that question? Those questions. Because they raise really good questions, right? And so we're going to call up our breakout facilitators, leaders to the front. And so everybody now should have a name tag with a color designation on it. Yeah. Well, okay, so I just want to ask a question first. We'll release our panelists so you can feel free to. Gina, where are our breakout sessions? Are we close? Are we far? Are we?
In between.
In between?
Okay, so our breakout sessions they're not that far from here, but you